How are you? Yes. Oh, okay. You got it.
LaPierre, yeah, Bellucci was here, yeah. Walsh, you only need 3.
He made it through okay? He made it through okay? Good.
Wife said we better be good in the hospital. I says, you tell him if it's not, we don't want him to be single.
Committee.
Who's picking up? Yeah, we good?
They're good.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Public Property and Parks Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Counsel Staben?
Present.
Present Counsel LaPierre?
Present.
Present Counsel Calucci? Absent Counsel Walsh?
Present.
Present Counsel Field? Absent.
Okay, thank you. One item on the agenda is the bus stop shelter agreement. Attorney Lamanna.
So, as I'm sure the council is aware, there's over a dozen bus shelters across the city. This goes back to when Jim Cowdell was council president. There was a company called Samusa that agreed to install and maintain these. And the city did give, for a brief period of time, a percentage of the split percentage of the monthly payments for the signs. New companies come along. Samusa is no longer going to be maintaining it. The city will no longer be getting any percentage of the sign rental fees, but one new requirement is that this new company will be responsible for maintaining, shoveling all of these out moving forward. And this new company wanted each community that where these shelters are located official approval by the council to allow them to continue to have the shelters that exist now. Currently, there are no new shelters being proposed. They would require approval from the council at a future date. This would just be allowing the existing bus stop shelters to remain in existence. They will be still selling or renting the sign and obtaining the proceeds, but the MBTA themselves gave up their portion of the rental fees, likely in exchange for now they don't have to come out and shovel each one of these. So, yes, we're losing money, but B, hopefully they'll be better maintained for commuters that are using the buses, and that's where it's before the council to make a decision whether to continue to approve the existence of these under the new arrangements.
And how much money did they generate?
In the first 4 or 5 years, we were averaging about $18,000 a year. So if there was one good thing that came about this, speaking with Steve Spencer and Mike Bertino, there has not been any payment in the last 10 years, so our office is going to be going back after Samusa for any of the sign payments that they're responsible for. But at the height, early on, the highest was $18,000. It lowered down to about $10,000 to $12,000 annually a year, not per spot, but that's roughly the type of money you're looking for. But we will be looking to be paid the monies that we were unaware that hadn't been coming to us, probably going back to 2011, from Samusa, the former operators.
And how do you spell that? SOMUSA?
The former company was Samusa, C as in Carl, E as in Eddie, M as in Mary, U as Uncle, S as in Sam, and A as in Alan. They were the company that installed them. And if you walk by them now, I walked by one over by the train station, it does say Samusa, but if this is approved, the new company takes over, it'll be the new firm.
Okay. Council Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. The shelters were originally maintained by the T, shoveling and ice melt. And if they didn't do it, we weren't able to really ticket them, if I remember correctly. Does this open up the opportunity, if it's not been done appropriately, to ticket the locations for that company?
That's absolutely correct. We are not permitted to issue fines, the North Shore Community College, to MBTA, any governmental entities for failure to shovel, failure to maintain. It would be a contractual violation, since we could order the T to take down the shelters. But this would absolutely allow us to find the private company coming in, both on contract and through our snow and ice ordinance violations.
Council LaPierre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Jim, two quick questions. I'm sorry if I missed, but could we get a list of the locations? You said about a dozen around the city. I mean, I know Central Square, Broadway, but could you, at some point, provide us with a list of those? And second question was, do you know the timeline of the takeover? Will it be before first snowfall? Will it be in 2022? Just when's the merge going to, or when's the transfer going to happen?
I received an email this morning from my contact person. She's been working with Lauren Drago and our assistant planner, associate planner. They have a quarterly meeting coming up in 2 weeks, and every community that has approved this arrangement between now and that quarterly meeting, they will immediately vote on their end to be responsible for the existing locations. And I do have a list somewhere in my emails, and I can forward that to the council. Let them know where they do exist.
Great. And do you happen to know where they're located out of, this company? Are they local? Are they far? Or what's in terms of maintenance? Or you could just throw that in an email too, I imagine.
Yes, I'll forward
That'd be great.
with that as well.
Yeah, I just don't want to be caught in between storms from Samosa and the new vendor. So that's my concern. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lapierre. Anything else? It's the wish of the committee.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made, second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci absent, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field absent.
Okay, any other business?
Motion adjourned?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public safety, call the meeting to order. Roll call,
Counsel Barton?
present.
Present. Counsel Field, absent. Counsel LaPierre? Absent. Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present. Counsel Walsh?
Present.
Present. Okay, we have one constable appointment, Joanna Pena, 55 Pacific Street in Lynn.
Did the councils have time to look at this?
Yep, make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, motion made. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field, absent. Counsel LaPierre, absent. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes.
Anything else on the agenda?
No new business?
No new
other
business.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. You are now.
How you doing? What do you mean? Be good about it. You're moving over here. I'm moving over here. Actually, you got a good chair?
There, don't have to try that one. I just have this one correction.
I gotta see which one's
This
better.
gentleman, you know, the guy
the
on
old
Carter
gas
Street,
station.
yeah,
That's the-
he's actually gonna be, a state transportation company.
Public safety, done. License, done.
Counsel Field, absent. Counsel Hogan.
Present.
Present. Counsel Lozey, absent. Counsel Net, absent. Counsel Walsh,
Present.
present. Counselor Chakutis,
Present.
present.
Just
Counselor
Oh, sorry.
Barton? Counsel Barton?
Present. Thank you, Council Barton.
Thank you. Just one thing before we start, I know the chairman of this committee is Brian Field, Councilor Field, had had a procedure today. Everything went well, and he will be absent for this meeting.
Okay. We have a new taxi operator, Jose Mannion, 5 Hamilton Ave.
Hey, Jose, how you doing? All right, what's the wish of the committee?
Motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, Thursday morning, you can go to the clerk's office and pick up your license. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, another new taxi operator, Edwin Morales, 60 Brookledge Street, Dorchester, Mass.
How we doing, Edwin? The wish of the committee?
Motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? You can go down to the clerk's office Thursday morning, pick up the license. Thank you. Thank you.
We have a new auto repair flammable at 136 Cottage Street, Bay State Transportation Company.
This is the existing old gas station that's on Cottage Street. What's the wish of the committee?
Motion to approve.
We have a second? Second? All in favor? Opposed? All right.
The rest are renewals.
Maybe we take them as a whole? The committee's okay with that? Right. Yes. We got a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second? All in favor? Opposed? All right. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
That's it. Got a motion to adjourn, seconded? All right. That was licensing.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Ways and Means Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Counsel Net absent, Counsel Staben.
Present.
Present Counsel Barton.
Present.
Present Counsel Chakutis. Present. Present Counsel Seer absent. Okay, the first order is transfer $209 to the Police Department for a prior year bill received after the warrant cleanup.
So wish of the committee.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Roll call, please.
Counsel Net absent, Counsel Staben.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer absent. Certify $54,857 to the Police Department for the FFY21 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant JAG program.
Was the wish of the committee.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net absent, Counsel Staben.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer absent. Certify $1,992,496 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 252 American Rescue Plan IDEA grant.
Was the wish of the committee.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net absent, Counsel Staben.
Present.
Yes, Present, Counselor Barton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Chakutis.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Seer absent.
Did I say present?
Yes. Yes.
I meant
Counselor Staben.
yes.
Yes. Certify $560,176 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 140 Title II grant.
The wish of the committee.
Second.
Make a motion.
Motion approved.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Roll call, please.
Counsel Net absent, Counsel Staben.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer absent. Certify $85,000 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 325 Targeted Assistant Grants.
Was the wish of the committee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net absent, Counsel Staben.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer absent. Certify $97,128 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 264 American Rescue Plan ID grant.
Motion to
Wish of the
approve.
committee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net absent, Counsel Staben.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer absent. Certify $226,178 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 302 American Rescue Plan IDEA grant.
Was the wish of the
Motion to
committee.
approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net absent, Counsel Staben.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis.
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer absent.
Is there an emergency on any of these? No? Okay, seeing no other business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
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 All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Present.
Present. Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present. Counsel Calucci?
Present.
Present. Counsel Field? Absent. Counsel LaPierre?
Present.
Present. Counsel Lozey? Absent. Counsel Net? Absent. Counsel Starbed?
Present.
Present. Counselor Walsh?
Present.
Present. Counsel Seer?
Present. Before we
Excuse me,
rise for a moment of silence,
You skipped Counsel Hogan.
Oh,
It's all right.
He's not here.
my
I'm here.
counselor. I'm so sorry, Counsel Hogan.
Councilor Hogan present?
Yes, I am present.
Okay. Before we all rise for a moment of silence, I just want to acknowledge that Councilor Net had a family emergency tonight, and Councilor Field had an operation this morning, so I hope you will all send your best wishes to both of them. I'll rise for a moment of silence.
Mr. President, a special prayer for you and your family for what you're going through.
Thank you.
Mr. President, please keep the family of George King. Thoughts?
And Mr. President, also the families of Edward Dupuy and Richard Drislane. Thank you.
As well as the Barton family. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Accept the minutes from the October 12th meeting.
Yes, sir.
Motion made.
Second.
All those from the October 12th and the 26th.
So moved.
Motion made.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Communications.
With the following communications from His Honor the Mayor. Dear councilors, I am hereby appointing the following board members effective immediately. Isaac Bantu, 7 Liberty Square, to the Disability Commission, expiring July 3rd, 2024. Joanne Cassiola, 203 Lewis Street, to the Public Art Commission, expiring April 30th, 2024. Lisa Nerrick, 27 Tramvaglia Ave, to the Public Arts Commission, expiring April 30th, 2024. Marilee Nicasio, 178 Beacon Hill Ave, to the Cultural Council, expiring December 31st, 2024. Rachel Brown, 11 Herschel Street, to the Cultural Council, expiring December 31st, 2024. Valerie Vong, 57 Birch Street, to the Cultural Council, expiring December 31st, 2024. William Cooksey, 630 Eastern Ave, to the Cultural Council, expiring December 31st, 2024. Michael Murphy, 42 Bassett Street, to the Cultural Council, expiring December 31st, 2024. Christian Racinos, 15 Libby Court, Cultural Council, expiring December 31st, 2024. Mr. Racinos currently serves on the Public Arts Commission and will be the representative for the Lynn Cultural Council on the Public Arts Commission as mandated in Section 4 of the Public Art Commission Ordinance. Sincerely, Mayor Thomas M. McGee.
So wish of the council.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field absent. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Counsel Net? Absent. Counsel Starbed?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes. Before we go on to our public hearings, I'm going to ask a good friend of mine to stand up. Coco, the new Ward 3 City Councilor. Thank you, Coco, and his husband Peter is here too. Public hearings.
We have the public hearing of Allison Rodriguez, owner of Casa Latina at 617 Chestnut Street, for a sign permit.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Please state your name and your address.
Alison Sarmiento, 617 Chestnut Street, Lynn, Massachusetts.
So you want to have the sign put there? Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. It's the wish of the council. Councilor Lozey.
Motion to approve?
Motion made. Seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field absent. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net? Absent. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes. Next public hearing.
We have the petition of Old World Remedies, Inc. for a sign permit at 953 Western Ave.
Anyone wishing to speak, you're all set. Thank you. Yep. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please state your name and your address.
Hi, Jonathan Capano from Smith, Costello, and Crawford, on behalf of Old World Remedies at 953 Western Avenue. Sorry about that. Wishing to seek the approval for a signs permit on the left side facing the Marsh Road section of the building. The mural will be about 30 feet by 20 feet using a local Lynn artist, Michael Agahawa. Old World Remedies is one of the few family-owned and run facilities, and they've been fortunate to have the strong support from the Lynn community since they opened this summer. We respectfully ask for the council's approval for our proposed plans.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. What is the wish of the council? Councilor Hogan.
Yes, I spoke with the artist, Michael, and he's very excited to get started, and the sign mural is going to look very good on that particular building, so I'm going to like to make a motion to approve.
Motion made to approve, seconded, discussion, roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field absent. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes. Next public hearing.
We have the petition of Breakwater North Harbor for a sign permit at 254 Lynnway.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Please state your name and your address, sir.
Hi, Tom Dunn from Metro Sign on behalf of Billman Company, 254 Lynnway.
So you're in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay.
I'm the sign company.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak? You can sit down, sir. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. What is the wish of the council? Councilor Hogan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field absent. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net absent. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Present. Any other public hearings?
We have the petition of WCL Chelsea LLC for permission to operate a laundry business at 626 Lynnway with extended hours operation of 24/7.
Set down.
Nope, that's a public hearing.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor?
Good evening. My name is James Moore. I'm an attorney at law with the firm of Bradley, Moore, Pedersen, Cuff & Weber at 85 Exchange Street in Lynn. The firm represents the petitioner WCL Chelsea LLC, and I am speaking in support of the petition for the special permit. By way of background, this is a request for a special permit under Section 12-1 of the present City of Lynn zoning ordinance. This special permit section of the ordinance for a laundry was not part of the zoning ordinance change that was granted by the Lynn City Council in February of 2020. Laundries have been an allowed use by special permit of the Lynn City Council in the Lynn zoning ordinance since at least the publication of the ordinance dated June 10, 1926. The petitioner is a potential tenant of 24,000 odd square feet, section of the building at 627 Lynnway, which was formerly a portion of Dean Foods dairy manufacturing facility, commonly known as Gorelick Farms, or by people my age as the Westland Creamery. The petitioner operates a commercial laundry. The customers are hotels, airlines, small businesses like gyms, salons, spas, and others. The business typically washes sheets, towels, airline blankets, napkins for first-class airline cabins, and work uniforms for hotels. The business is not an acute care medical laundry. The redevelopment of the Chelsea facility by the owner of the real estate is what necessitated the relocation of the business, hopefully with your support, to Lynn. The business is not open to the public. 99% of the business is picked up, followed by delivery to the customer. On very rare occasions, a client will drop by to drop off or pick up. The hours at the Lynn facility will develop depending on how the business develops. Initially, the plan is to open with one shift, but even with one shift, customers they service at the airport will sometimes require a truck to have a 4 a.m. leave, and when there is a second shift, the second shift will occasionally stay late until midnight or 1 a.m. In short, the business needs to be flexible as its customers. This requires that the facility be open and operating 24/7. The petitioner currently runs a two-shift operation at its Chelsea facility. The company estimates a capacity to employ about 120 people. The maximum on a shift at a time is about 45 employees. At capacity, the business would run 14 shifts per week, 2 a day, 7 days a week. Workers are on the site 7 days a week. In view of the increase in city employment, the very clean use of the new facility, the petitioner respectfully urges that the City Council favorably consider its application before it for a special permit. The next speaker in favor will be the founder and CEO of WCL Chelsea. I would be happy to take any questions now or after he speaks, depending on what the council wants. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Please state your name and your address.
Sure. My name is Gabriel Mondihano with Washcycle Laundry, or WCL Chelsea LLC. And our business address is 22 Willow Street in Chelsea, Mass. So I founded Washcycle Laundry 11 years ago in Philadelphia. I started my career in the nonprofit sector at an organization in West Philadelphia called the Enterprise Center, which was a business incubator that worked to develop small businesses and had job training programs. I'm sure that there are a lot of similar organizations in the Lynn area. And 2 or 3 years into that experience, I decided that I might be a better business owner than a business coach or a job trainer. Wanted to give my own shot at it. And I went into the laundry business for a few reasons, mostly because I thought it was a great opportunity to create jobs for people with high barriers to employment, and also an industry where you could differentiate yourself through your approach to sustainability. So you could run a greener business, and because of that, because of being green, you could have a competitive advantage against typical laundries, just because there's so much water and there's so much energy involved in doing laundry that if you can figure out how to do it more efficiently, then that can actually both be an economic advantage and also good for the planet. So I started Washcycle 11 years ago we did all of our initial deliveries on bicycles. I had a single bike, a single trailer, made a deal with a local laundromat owner, and our first customer was a yoga studio. Little by little, our first big break was when we signed an account at a local university. From there, we got a federal contract about a year later. About a year after that, I took on some external investment. A couple years after that, we opened up in Washington, D.C. And long story short, in 2018, we came to the Boston area. and put down roots in Chelsea with an intention to stay there for the long term. As Jimmy mentioned, that building has changed hands now, and the new landlord has an intention to redevelop the site and wanted to relocate us. So we were really excited when we came upon the 626 Lynnway. We were excited because of the location, because it's next to our customers, primarily at the airport. We were also excited because it had a lot of the infrastructure that we need. We use a lot of water, we use a lot of energy, and that location has a lot of those existing facilities there. So as you mentioned, we think we're going to employ about 120 people there when we get to capacity. Right before the pandemic, we were at about a headcount of 80 in Chelsea, but this is a much larger plant than our last one, and so we think our headcount is going to go past that. And so I'm really excited about that. We pay between $15 and $20 an hour for all of our hourly employees right now, and are really excited to be able to bring that up. It's first time in a long time when laundries have had pricing power, and so with that, we're able to share the wealth with our employees, and we're excited about how far we can take that. We also are going to need to hire a lot of people, and we really want to do that in partnership with organizations in the community. Coming from a job training background, I used to sit on the Workforce Development Council in Philadelphia, and I'm really eager to build those local connections to organizations who can help us source employees, from ideally who could walk to work or at least have a short drive or a short trip on a bus, rather than coming from all over the area. So happy to answer any questions about what we do, and why we do it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. What is the wish of the council? Councilor Hogan.
I had the opportunity to go to Chelsea and tour a wash cycle and meet with the employees, meet with the supervisors who ran the shifts, and do some of the homework. And I just feel that having the opportunity to bring jobs close to the Lynnway, where people could actually walk to work or take their bike or take a short stroke to a bus to be able to work, I think it'll be a good addition for the Ward 6 area and for Lynn, just giving other people an opportunity to have work close by where they live. So I'm in favor of this here, and I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded, discussion.
Could I just have
Councilor Lapierre.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could I just address to the owner a couple questions I had, if you don't mind? I know you mentioned hourly wage, which seems to be pretty competitive. Is there any sort of career ladder or any, can you go through sort of, I know, entry level versus supervisory and things like that?
Sure. Yeah, so our entry level is called a laundry team member. They start at $15 per hour now. We also pay 100% of short-term disability, long-term disability, and life assurance, and 85% of individual medical care. So that's sort of our base offering. Yeah, we use United Healthcare, and it's there's two options.
85 and 15 on the employee.
15 on the employee side. It works out to be about $15 to $20 per paycheck.
Gotcha.
For employees.
That's great.
And it's pre-tax. So, so that's our entry level. One step up from that inside the plant is our laundry team leaders, and they are folks who have typically been with us for anywhere from 3 months to a year. They are usually responsible for one sort of production area, maybe a team of 4 or 5 people. And those jobs are at $16 to $18 an hour. We have shift leads that are in the 19 to 20 range. And from there, we have salary production supervisors who start at $50,000 to about $70,000 per year.
50 to 70, you said?
Yeah. And then we have our management. We also have...
As you said, you may be expanding the workforce. Did you say you would give some Lynn preference to residents who apply?
Yeah, I mean, just for us, I mean, I should say, like, internal promotion is one of the, I am really, really, really big on hiring people for management who have been on the front line. So for a long time in our company, 96% of our employees were people who started out either driving a truck, pedaling a bike, or on the front line. We grew to a point where we had to add a little bit more professional, maybe people who had been doing this for a couple of decades. The company was too young, and so John Lowry is our general manager here. He used to manage one of the largest healthcare laundries in the area, and has been a really great asset to our team. But he's really invested in mentorship and making sure that people can, sort of go up that ladder. Sorry, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did, very much so. Thank you so much, sir.
Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to commend Councilor Hogan. I know we put a lot of work into this and looking at the site and going out and making sure this was going to be a good fit in our community. I know we spoke to the city planner that we have too to make sure this fits into what we're trying to do in that area. So I just wanted to thank him for that.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field absent. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net absent. Counsel Staubed?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Present. Next public hearing.
We have no more public hearings.
Public hearings will be set down.
We have the petition of Rosario Robles, owner of Guatemala Restaurant at 16 Market Square for a wine and malt license at an existing common victular. Petition of Michael Nicala, owner of Global Kitchen and Banquet at 138 Boston Street for a full liquor license as an existing common victular. Petition of YMCA located at 40 Neptune Boulevard for permission to build a pergola and canopy on the roof with a height of 73 feet, where 60 feet is allowed in the high-rise building district zone. And a petition of National Grid to install a secondary duet from the existing manhole on Liberty Street to a new hand hole for telecom service, hole number 8.
What's the wish of the council?
Let him down.
Motion made.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Guys have it. Committee reports. Utilities, Councilor Walsh.
Mr. President, Mr. Jakutis is the one that handled that for us.
It is unanimous vote of the committee, motion to approve.
Motion made.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Public Properties, Councilor Staben.
Thank you, Mr. President. One item on the agenda, approve the contract for the bus shelter agreement. Unanimous vote of the committee, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made. Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other? Councilor Staben, that it?
That was all, surprisingly.
Okay. Licensing, who filled in for Brian? Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was a unanimous vote of the committee with motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Ways and Means, who filled in for Councilor Net? Councilor Staben.
Thank you, Mr. President. All financial transfers, unanimous vote of the committee, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, would the clerk read the transfers?
Transfer $209 to the Police Department for a prior year bill received after the warrant cleanup. Certify $54,857 to the Police Department for the FFY21 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant. Certify $1,092,496 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 252 American Rescue Plan Idea Grant. Certify $560,176 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 140 Title II Grant. Certify $85,000 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 325 Targeted Assistant Grant. Certify $97,128 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 264 American Rescue Plan Idea Grant. Certify $226,178 to the School Department for the FY22 FC 302 American Rescue Plan Idea. That's it. No emergency.
Motion made,
Second.
seconded, discussion, roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field absent. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey? Yes. Counsel Net absent. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes. Public Safety, Councilor Barton.
Unanimous vote of committee, motion to approve.
Motion made,
Second.
Seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Old business. Seeing none, any new business?
We have one new business.
Let
We
the
have a
clerk
motion.
read the new business.
Motion to set down a public hearing on the mayor's supplemental fiscal year 2022 budget for November 23rd, 2021 at 5:30 in the city council chambers.
What's the wish of the council?
Motion to set it down.
Motion made.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What's the wish of the council?
Motion adjourned.
Motion made, seconded.
Second.
The doctoral level psychologist that list.
Thank you. Please do submit the testimony if you have more that you'd like to share with us. I just want to remind the next panel, the panel, you've come on as a panel, which means that somebody has organized you so that you can go on back to back. The total for the panel is 6 minutes. So whoever is speaking in a panel, hopefully the person who's organized you has helped you work with each other to make sure that people are getting the time in a panel that they want to deliver this. And so we are going to just keep to this rule. So the next panel has 3 people on it. And just to be clear, the one after that has 4. So hopefully people have worked out what that time looks like for each other. And because the buzzer will not go off until 6 minutes, but we're keeping time. We hope you are keeping time. I would like to welcome the next 3 speakers who are on a panel who will be speaking on an act relative to removing barriers to care for physician assistants. This is House 2229. It's Susan Schaffman, Dr. Christopher Chiodo, and Dr. Eric Blumen. Welcome.
Thank you so much. This is Sue Schaffman. I really appreciate the opportunity today to come before the Public Health Committee. I am the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Orthopedic Association, and I'm representing more than 250 orthopedic surgeons in the Commonwealth. Joining me today will be Dr. Chiodo and Dr. Blumen. And I'm going to address, first of all, the HB 2229, an act relative to removing barriers to care for physician assistants. And then if the committee would allow, I have several other ones from today's public hearing that I'd like to address as well.
You have 6 minutes as a panel, so you're welcome to use it however you want.
Okay, super. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So the MOA appreciates the opportunity to testify in opposition to this bill, HB 2229 and Senate Bill 740. This bill seeks to expand the scope of physician assistance and eliminate physician oversight and supervision. So orthopedic surgeons work with physician assistants as part of a team approach to the care of patients. And this bill would expand a profession's scope without regard to the appropriate training to support the expansion, and could possibly compromise patient safety without the physician's supervision oversight. It is for these reasons that the MOA also registers our opposition to HB 2247 and Senate Bill 1438, an act relative to athletic training. The MOA strongly opposes any expansion by legislation that is not reflected in education and training. And to this end, the association also opposes House Bill 2270 and Senate Bill 1510, which would both significantly expand the scope of podiatry without regard to the various training levels of podiatrists over the last several decades, which again could compromise patient safety. And both Dr. Chiodo and Dr. Blumen will address these bills. The other bills before the committee today include transparency and truth in advertising, which are important components for consumers to make informed healthcare decisions about who is caring for them and their loved ones. Patients have the right to know the credentials and the level of training of those diagnosing, treating, and caring for them. It is for these reasons the Massachusetts Orthopedic Association strongly supports truth in advertising and an act relative to the healthcare transparency. These two bills combined will provide consumer protections for patients. And the association strongly supports the patient safety measures and the transparency proposed in House Bill 2396, an act enhancing the podiatric professions, registration and oversight. This bill proposes a robust oversight by the Board of Registration and Medicine of the podiatric profession and includes transparency for patients. And so without further ado, I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Kyoto, who will be discussing the bills related to podiatry. Dr. Kyoto.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Your panel has just under 3 minutes between you and the next speaker.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. I'm Chris Kyoto. I'm in charge of foot and ankle to Brigham. All I do is foot and ankle surgery. I've been doing it for 20 years. The ankle is very complex because it's a moving joint and has so much weight on it so close to the ground. I still get nervous doing ankle surgery, and if it goes wrong, the patient has to take 5,000 painful steps a day. Regarding this legislation, with all due respect, it goes again too far. Year after year, it just goes too far. It includes surgery on not just the ankle, but the leg, and allows any podiatrist to do ankle surgery regardless of training. Do some podiatrists in other states do ankle surgery? Yes, but we now have scientific evidence from other states demonstrating increased complications and increased costs when the ankle surgery is performed out of podiatric scope. I ask you for our patients and for the citizens of our Commonwealth not to pass this legislation. My colleague, Dr. Blumen, can add a few more words within the minute or so we have left. Dr. Eric? Okay, he may be operating or in the clinic, but I'll leave it at that. I do want to thank you for your time and your consideration. This is about safety and patients' outcomes. It's not a turf war. It's about outcomes and patient safety, and now costs. There are increased costs as well. Thank you for your time and for your consideration.
Thank you, and do feel free to submit any written testimony. And if Dr. Blumen also wants to submit written testimony, we will take that if he hasn't already. Okay, so the next actually are 4 individual speakers who've signed up. So you each have 3 minutes as individuals. I have Cole Turno, who is signed up first. Are you here?
Hi, Senator Marjorie. Representative Marjorie Decker. I'm here. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Thank you. So thank you to Senate Chairwoman Comerford, House Chairwoman Decker, and remaining members of the committee for the opportunity to briefly speak in favor of H2229, an act relative to removing barriers to care for physician assistants. My name is Cole Turno, and I have been a practicing PA in the Commonwealth for 5 years with clinical experience in emergency medicine, transplant cardiology, and critical care. I've also been a board member of the Commonwealth's only state PA advocacy group, the Massachusetts Association of PAs, for 7 years, starting as a student rep in graduate school, now currently serving as president of the executive committee. In short, H229 represents a step forward in modernizing our state regulations and legislation to more aptly reflect the team-based model of care that is practiced today. This bill removes requirements for identifying specific supervisory physicians for PAs at the state level and allows PAs to be responsible for the care that they provide, allowing us to practice at the maximum of our scope and training. It would not change our scope of practice, but simply remove current administrative barriers for PAs. Interestingly, we've already seen this bill in action, as this is a continuation of the emergency order that was approved by Governor Baker and DPH Commissioner Barrow in March 2020 in the midst of the initial COVID surge. And the temporary executive order allowed for PAs to practice without filing a supervising physician with the Commonwealth, thereby creating greater flexibility for PAs, enabling PAs to be deployed more easily to areas of need, assisting health systems with capacity issues, and providing patients access to care. PAs undergo extensive clinical training and are highly educated in their field. And in order to practice, PAs complete rigorous requirements, including obtaining a master's degree from an accredited medical school or center of medicine, earning at least 2,000 clinical training hours, and completing 100 hours of CMEs every 2 years. PAs with this generalist medical education and background were able to serve in a variety of positions outside of their normal positions when things closed down with COVID. PAs were utilized to staff medical COVID wards, ICUs, testing centers, and eventually vaccination clinics. Moreover, there were no negative consequences reported from this change. Moreover, the physician assistant profession has been around since the 60s, and we've been delivering high quality care throughout the U.S. From hospitals, primary care, rural settings. Since the inception of the profession, laws have changed. Some have not as quickly as we prefer. The law right now, PAs don't practice with a single supervising doctor anymore, but rather operate in teams. The law, however, mandates that PAs have a single supervisory physician. But often in rural settings, especially the supervising physician and the PA rarely interact. We've heard of cases out in Western Mass where PAs and physicians share a hospital or clinic shift only once every 6 months. Despite this, the supervising physician is legally responsible for any decisions made by the PA, which is not reflective of the way that practice operates. This outdated law means that the supervising physician is held liable for the work of the PA simply because they have registered with the state in this capacity. PAs are highly educated and trained medical practitioners, and we should be held liable for the care that we provide. While Massachusetts has been a leader in healthcare across the nation, there remains areas of the Commonwealth, particularly in western parts of the state, that are medically underserved and do not have access to adequate primary care services. And as we've already bared witness with the strain on the healthcare system, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yep, and please do feel free to submit testimony to our writing. And I will remind people that if you've already given testimony, we're asking you to log out of this Teams platform and log back on and watch it live stream. That's just to protect the integrity of the connectivity. Thank you. Our next speaker will be Duncan Davia. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
Hi, Chairwoman Decker. Thank you. You are saying it correctly. So thank you, Chair Decker and Chair Comerford and members of the committee. I'm Duncan Davio. I am the president-elect of the Massachusetts Association of PAs, and I'm a clinically practicing physician assistant in emergency medicine for the past 5 years. I came today to speak in favor of House Bill 2229, an act relative to removing barriers to care for physician assistants. This provision, if enacted, would modernize PA scope of PA practice by removing the specific requirement that a PA has to have a supervising physician to practice. If enacted, it would reduce administrative burdens and reduce the amount of licensing paperwork needed to file with the state. COVID has wrought significant destruction in the Commonwealth regarding the public health implications and the economic devastation, and no one knows more than the committee here today. But I believe in looking at silver linings. In March of 2020, Governor Baker signed an executive order temporarily severing our relationships with supervising physicians. It allowed the Commonwealth to effectuate a better pandemic response by allowing PAs who were in surgical disciplines during the moratorium of elective surgeries to go work in COVID testing centers. It improved our ability to respond to the pandemic, and there was no adverse outcomes. At Mercy Hospital in Springfield, Massachusetts, where I currently work, we had an entire COVID testing site that was staffed entirely by surgical physician assistants. And also on a personal note, I was previously an employee of a private practice ER group. That group unfortunately ended up folding due to the devastation brought by COVID. I ended up working for a new hospital group at the start of COVID, and they were actually new to hiring PAs. They had never had a PA in the emergency department, and even though I was still at the same practice site, I needed to find a new supervising physician. I was an employee of the private practice group on Friday, and on Monday, I was an employee of the hospital. I spent 30 days trying to track down a new supervising physician in order to become compliant with the law, so that way there was no adverse complaints against my license. Additionally, there has been significant issues regarding regulations issued by the Board of Registration of Medicine. In August of 2019, they issued 243 CMR 2.00. This regulation noted that a physician has the sole obligation to perform written informed consents for procedures and certain interventions. Different hospital groups have taken different approaches to this regulation. There's a PA who works at Children's Hospital who has a pre-signed stack of informed consents about putting tympanostomy tubes in kids. Some hospital groups have taken away PA's abilities to do blood transfusions due to this regulations. It's taken away PA's ability to care, and issuing this or passing this law forward would help counter this regulation and improve the PA's abilities to care for patients in the Commonwealth. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for your time, and please do feel free to submit any additional testimony.
Absolutely.
Okay, this time I would call forward Lauren Bates Rowe. Are you here with us?
I am. Thank you,
Welcome.
Chair Decker. Thank you, Chair Decker and Chair Comerford and members of the committee for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Lauren Bates Rowe. I'm here on behalf of AAPA, who represents the more than 150,000 PAs across the U.S., and I'm glad to be here with my colleagues from MAPPA, who represent the 4,000 PAs here in the Commonwealth. AAPA supports H2229 as this legislation would modernize PA practice and increase access to care. PAs are highly trained medical professionals educated at a master's level who diagnose illness, develop and manage treatment plans, prescribe medications, and often serve as a patient's main healthcare provider. PAs have more than 400 million patient interactions per year. So it's no wonder that 93% of patients say they trust PAs as their healthcare provider, and 92% say having access to a PA makes it easier to get a medical appointment. H2229 builds on the progress Massachusetts has already made. As you've heard, the temporary EO allowed PAs to practice with greater flexibility. 20 other states across the nation also took similar action. And again, even under the most dire circumstances of the pandemic, PAs continued to deliver high quality care without negative consequences. It's time to make this change permanent, as this body did for our colleagues in nursing last year. And notably, this bill would remove outdated administrative requirements for PAs to provide care. It would not allow for independent practice. It does not change scope of practice. The bill allows the healthcare team to decide how they can work best together based on the patient. And so, for example, one day a PA may need to work with a physician, the next day they may need to work with a respiratory therapist. And so it allows the care team and the PA's employer to have the flexibility they need without the additional paperwork. Nationally and candidly, PA laws are generally a bit outdated, which puts PAs at a disadvantage with employers such as hospital and health systems. Thankfully, we are seeing states correct this problem and grant PAs the needed flexibility to maximize patient care. Earlier this year, Utah and Wyoming enacted new laws similar to H2229. Other states such as Maine, Minnesota, Rhode Island, North Dakota, and many others have all enacted laws that have similar principles in modernizing PA practice. Again, this bill only allows PAs to provide care they are trained to provide. It does not increase a PA's scope of practice. PAs will be held to the same legal standard as physicians and advanced practice nurses, and the bill makes PAs legally responsible for the care they deliver, which is a change we welcome. And most importantly, this bill will increase patients' access to care. Thank you for your time. I'll submit written testimony, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. At this time, I would welcome, thank you for your testimony. We'll be sure to accept the written testimony.
Thank you.
At this time, I would welcome Adrian Hopper to join us.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for having me today. Thank you, Chair Comerford and Chair Decker, and the members of this committee, again, for allowing us to testify in support of House Bill 2229. I'm a proud new physician assistant. I joined a very busy emergency department here in Massachusetts just 2 months before the start of the pandemic, and now act as the director at large for the Massachusetts Association of PAs. In this time, I've seen how important it is for PAs to be invaluable contributing members of our healthcare workforce. We are dedicated and we remain on the front lines to this day. However, our healthcare system is changing, and the stresses of this pandemic will have years of consequences in our long-term ability to provide health and wellness to this Commonwealth. A patient of mine yesterday presented with pregnancy, chest pain, high blood pressure, and gestational diabetes. She won't be able to see her primary care provider for 3 months. And so she became my patient. Another presented with 2 months of abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, rendering them unable to work, out of the workforce, and unable to see a gastroenterologist. They disclosed that the gastroenterology department told him that they are 2,500 colonoscopies behind. And so they became my patient in the emergency department. Another lost care with a psychiatrist after moving across state lines. They presented with psychosis, decompensated off their medications. And while this is a very, very real disease, their condition is inflicted from a system that has failed them, unfortunately. These are just 3 of the 20 patients that I saw on a shift yesterday, and we've all certainly heard about the overcrowding that our department is facing. Our ability to modernize what physician assistants can do in a healthcare team allows for a more malleable healthcare system and our ability to respond to the ever-changing needs of this healthcare infrastructure. In short, I'm concerned about our representation of a cohort of healthcare providers and heroes who have brought years of healthcare experience before even starting PA school, who now compete with our colleagues who have been granted the same full practice authority that we were given and revoked. I am concerned about the present amidst a global pandemic and the constant struggle for access to care, something I see on a day-to-day in my department. And I'm concerned about the future as the stresses continue to challenge our workforce, continue to challenge students who at one point are very excited to enter this workforce and to be a part of the solution. At one point, I was one of them. I decided to become a PA as opposed to a physician because I saw a need for malleable, important healthcare workers who can meet the demands of an ever-changing healthcare society and healthcare infrastructure. I see this bill as a part of a much larger solution in accessing care for those who need it most, and appreciate your time and the ability to submit this testimony. I will also be writing some written testimony as well. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time, and we will take testimony. At this time, I'm going to hand this hearing off for the next hour to my colleague and co-chair, Senator Comerford.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Happy to facilitate this next leg. We're going to move now to hear testimony on H2241, an act relative to healthcare transparency. We have 2 panels. So again, the 6 minutes apply to the panels. The first panel is Christopher Gill and Lynn Reed. Christopher and Lynn, are you here?
I'm here, Chairwoman Comerford, but Lynn is not on yet. She will be joining after. So may I use my 3 minutes now and then cede 3 minutes to her?
Absolutely. Yep. 3 to you, and then that's just an individual time limit. So please, you're warmly welcome.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank both you and Chairwoman Decker and the members of the Joint Committee on Public Health for this opportunity to provide testimony regarding opposition to H2241, an act relative to healthcare transparency, 2242, act to promote team-based healthcare, and 2356, an act relative to anesthesiologist assistants. My name is Christopher Gill. I'm originally born and from Lowell, Massachusetts. I've lived much of my life in the state. I'm a proud graduate of the Direct Entry Master's Nursing program from Salem State College, a program that was fortunate to receive Mass State grant money to further the program. I'm also a proud Husky and pleased to have recently concluded my PhD program at Northeastern in May of 2021. It's important for me to acknowledge and thank you all for supporting certified registered nurse anesthetists in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I can personally attest to how the removal of practice restrictions during the COVID-19 pandemic enhanced care provided to patients. I believe CRNAs possess the knowledge, skills, and abilities to provide a force multiplier in all arenas where anesthesia and anesthesia-related care is required. As practitioners, we maintain unique capabilities in airway management, pharmacology, and physiology that allows us and enables us to provide safe, patient-centered, cost-effective care. During the height of the pandemic, I was the chief CRNA at St. Luke's Hospital in New Bedford, Massachusetts. When the hospital system was faced with making difficult choices as to how to staff the ICU with providers, my anesthesia department stepped up. We leveraged relationships with our critical care colleagues, physicians, NPs, PAs, and RNs to enhance the existing provider complement. I, like many on staff, rotated days and nights working in the ICU to meet the demands of the community we serve. While stressful, I can definitively tell you that without removal of practice restrictions, patient care and the ability to provide life-saving treatment would have been negatively impacted. I feel strongly in telling you that allowing CRNAs and other advanced practice providers to practice at the top of their license improves quality of patient care. We are so fortunate to have highly regarded academic institutions that research healthcare systems and policy. Those institutions tell us that data supports enhancing and allowing all current team members to contribute to the fullest extent of their knowledge and expertise. Adding a new provider type to a state that has not fully utilized its current provider workforce does not make sense for our healthcare system or patient care. I would ask the question, has a cost-benefit analysis been performed to justify the creation of a new license and subsequent administration of licensing programs? I would propose that the most economical path is to decrease unnecessary regulatory barriers and licensure restrictions on existing licensed provider groups who have a long established record of performance in Massachusetts. Removal of practice restrictions does not nullify team-based care. I will close with saying, given my background, experiences, and points made here today, I hope you will strongly consider opposing House bills. I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you. The buzzer is, of course, indelicate. Appreciate the testimony. Questions from my colleagues? Okay, hearing none, we'll catch Lynn when she comes on.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another panel, please. 3 individuals, 6 minutes. Nathan Jones, Kathy Jones, Mary Ann Van. Is the panel ready?
Yes.
Very good. You're warmly welcome.
Hi, my name is Nathan Jones. I'm the president of the Massachusetts Society of Anesthesiologists. I have Kathy Jones and Matria Shaw with me, and I'm going to let them speak first.
And I can speak. I'm Kathy Jones. I'm a pediatric anesthesiologist at Boston Children's Hospital, and I'm president-elect of the Massachusetts Society of Anesthesiologists. And I wanted to testify in support of the Transparency and Truth in Advertising bills, H2241 and H2240. Patients can easily become confused about the differences between various healthcare professionals. Often patients mistakenly believe that they are meeting with physicians when they are not. Patients deserve to know who is helping to take care of them and what the professional taking care of them is qualified and licensed to diagnose, prescribe, and treat. Often it is not known that some medical specialists are physicians. Many patients are reluctant to ask their healthcare professional about one's training and certification during a visit or when they're about to undergo anesthesia. With the growing number of non-physician healthcare providers, it is easy to mistake who is a physician and who is not, especially as other providers are obtaining doctoral degrees and present themselves to patients as doctors. Nurse anesthetists and other advanced practice nurses are changing their degrees from master's degrees to doctor of nursing practice degrees. And recently in New Hampshire, nurse anesthetists wanted to tell patients that they were anesthesiologists, but the New Hampshire Supreme Court upheld that only physicians who have specialty training in anesthesia are allowed to call themselves anesthesiologists. Passage of these bills will help patients make more informed decisions about their health care by ensuring that the doctor who is caring for them is indeed a physician, and also that the anesthesiologist who's caring for them and providing their anesthesia care is indeed a physician. So I would encourage the committee to support H2240 and H2241 to ensure that patients have clarity and transparency as to who is providing their health care.
Thank you. Next person on the panel, please.
Not hearing Dr. Shaw, I'll just start. Again, Nathan Jones, president of the Massachusetts Society of Anesthesiologists. I echo Dr. Jones's comments on the Transparency Act. I'd also like to speak about House Bill 2356, an act relative to anesthesiologist assistants. I've submitted written testimony on behalf of the society that I encourage you to look at for more details. But I'd just like to say in brief summary that anesthesiologist assistants practice across the country in the care team model. There's been no credible evidence showing any difference between nurse anesthetist and anesthesia assistants. So we'd encourage the House to support passage of this bill. As my colleague, Mr. Gill, down in the South Shore was saying, that basically we have a need for additional anesthesia providers in this state. There's only 2 CRNA programs currently producing CRNAs in the state. And we have multiple openings across the state. So this would allow for us to have expansion of practice and making sure that all patients have access to physician-led team care. Again, I encourage you to support House Bill 2356, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. And is this the conclusion of your panel? I'm going to assume yes.
Unless Dr. Shaw can get on, I don't know if she's having technical problems. Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, both of you, for your testimony. Really appreciate it. And thanks for sending in written remarks. Questions from my colleagues? Okay, seeing none, thank you again for coming on and for your work. All right, friends. Thank you. We're moving on now to H2246. This is an act relative to CNA training. We have 3 folks signed up. After H2246, we're going to hear testimony on H2247 and S1438. That's an act relative to athletic training. So folks speaking about those bills are on deck now. So the first individual signed up to speak on H2246 is William Graves. Mr. Graves, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you. You're a little faint. I was on when Senator Keenan was speaking about your important work. So please, you're warmly welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Comerford, Representative Decker, and the other members of this committee for allowing me to speak in support of House Bill 2246. My name is William Graves, and I am the President and Chief Executive of South Cove Manor Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Quincy. In addition, I serve as a board member of the Massachusetts Senior Care Association and as the chairman of the Board of Registration of Nursing Home Administrators for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I believe that there are 2 significant issues that this bill has the potential to address. I have provided a written testimony that speaks specifically to the broader issue, critical shortage of certified nursing assistants. So I will focus my time here today on the issue that affects my organization and several others like it. That issue is the need for culturally and linguistically competent care for those elders whose primary language is not English. That need is supported by current census data that indicates that over 23% of the population of Massachusetts speaks a language other than English in their own homes, and that number will undoubtedly continue to rise. As just one example of this pressing need, my organization is a nonprofit 141-bed long-term care facility dedicated to serving the Asian elderly. 92% of the elders that call this high-quality organization home do not speak or understand English. It only makes sense that those that care for them are able to communicate in the language of the elders' choosing. In fact, the Department of Public Health, through the American Red Cross, previously offered the Certified Nursing Assistant examination in Chinese until this language option was dropped in 2018 without explanation. At South Cove Manor, there's a pressing need for our facility to employ bilingual caregivers who can address our residents' medical issues, diet, and daily activities in order to provide the highest quality of care that has been the hallmark in the nursing home industry for decades. House Bill 2246 restores the language option for the CNA exam in Chinese and also adds translation for Spanish and potentially other languages. This is a matter of great importance, not just for South Cove Manor, but for all nursing facilities that depend on bilingual staff to provide optimal care for their non-English speaking residents, for CNA exam applicants with limited English language fluency, as well as for the greater community. This hearing comes at an incredibly advantageous time to make this change a reality. On October 31st, the current CNA testing provider, the American Red Cross, will cease to provide those services to the Commonwealth. A new testing provider, Prometric LLC, has been chosen and will begin providing those same CNA testing services on November 1st. According to Prometric's website, they already provide translated testing services in other states, so requiring them to do the same in Massachusetts should not be an arduous task. Please help to make our nursing homes safer by supporting House Bill 2246. Thank you for your time today, and I'm available for any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you so much, Mr. Graves. Thank you for the testimony and your important work, essential. Questions from the committee? Okay, hearing none, I'll thank you. The next 2 folks signed up to speak on this bill are Manli Chi and then Tabitha Feinberg. Manli Chi, are you available?
Yes.
You're warmly welcome.
Thank you, Senator Comerford and Representative Decker and the other members of this committee for allowing me to speak in support of the House Bill 2246. My name is Manli Chi, and I am the Staff Development Coordinator and Infection Preventionist at South Cove Manor, a 141-bed skilled nursing facility located in Quincy. My role as a Staff Development Coordinator, I teach an approved nursing assistant training course to those that wish to become certified. Prior to the translated testing being removed as an option in 2018, I taught the curriculum to about 150 CNA candidates in Chinese. Every student was able to pass both clinical skill portion of the exam as well as the written portion in Chinese. Since the translated version of the exam was eliminated, Subco have not offered a course in Chinese because we knew the candidates could not pass the written portion of the exam. As a result of the current federal state of emergency, uncertified staff are allowed to work as a nursing assistants if they complete a nursing assistant training course. These nursing assistants will be permitted to work for up to 4 months after the state of emergency has been declared over. Because of that accommodation, we began to offer the course in Chinese recently. Our student has very limited English skill, but have become wonderful caregiver. Recently, 2 of our students chose to taking the certification exam, knowing that the test was only available in English. Both of these students worked incredibly hard for months, studying English medical terminology that would be used in the test, but unfortunately, they failed written portion of the exam. When the federal state of emergency has ended, these intelligent, hardworking caregivers will no longer be able to pursue gainful employment as a nursing assistant if the Chinese translation of the certification exam isn't reinstated. 92% of the elders that currently live at Subco Manor do not speak English. Half the caregivers that speak their language could only serve to improve their quality of life. So I am urging you to require that the translated version of the exam are available to those candidates that need them. This accommodation will provide the non-English speaking elders the care they deserve, as well as provide working opportunities for many people with limited English skills that they otherwise would not have. Thank you again for allowing me to share my point of view with you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Did you say that you offered the exam to 150?
Yeah. Yeah, since I'm in the position.
That's Herculean work. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate your dedication. Questions from my colleagues? Okay, seeing none, we'll thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker on this bill is Tabitha Feinberg, please. Tabitha?
Good morning, and thank you, Chairwoman Comerford, Decker, and the committee members for letting me speak this morning. My name is Tabitha Feinberg, and I'm the Administrative Director for Academic Programs at Hebrew Senior Life. Hebrew Senior Life's 2,600 employees are committed to increasing access and providing high-quality care, personalized and person-centered healthcare to over 3,000 seniors every day, many who are low-income seniors across 8 campuses. Our healthcare services include a continuum of care, including home care, community-based, short-term rehab, long-term, chronic, and palliative and hospice care. We also do a large number of teaching with Harvard Medical School and 40 other medical centers, colleges, schools, and we train, before COVID, over 1,000 different physicians, nurses, and allied professionals. And because of the COVID pandemic, we started doing CNA training as well. And with that, we really do support Bill 2246, an act of relative CNA training. This bill would require the Department of Public Health to provide translated versions of the state CNA training examination. As many of you are aware, the COVID-19 has taken a great toll on long-term care facilities across the state of Massachusetts, and yet every day, Hebrew Senior Life employees have come to work and supported our elders in so much more than just patient care, but being their families when the families couldn't come to actually be there with them. And so when we started our CNA training program, we did not just do a CNA training program, but we did a training program that took under or unemployed individuals and offered them a paid training program with a guaranteed job at the end of the program as long as they completed our training. We have internally promoted our housekeepers and our culinary staff and successfully employed people who were underemployed or unemployed for many years or who have lost their jobs to unemployment due to the pandemic. Unfortunately, not everyone has been successful in the classroom or working on our units, or I'm sorry, everyone who has been successful has been able to pass the certification exam. With the American Red Cross stepping out and Prometric coming in, we have been concerned that there will be further people being unemployed or underemployed. The barrier is mostly been language. And we have been able to get people to pass the clinical exam, but not pass the written exam. An example of this is Lucy. Lucy was a long-time Hebrew Senior Life housekeeper who wanted to take the CNA course with us, and she tried elsewhere but could not get into the courses. We then took her into our course. She was offered a position in our first cohort, and I will give you guys my written exam, my written statement. Sorry. Thank you for letting me testify.
No, this is wonderful. And again, the buzzer is hard. Well, I'd love to read that testimony, as I'm sure Chair Decker would as well, and our colleagues on the committee. Thank you for your important testimony. Questions from my colleagues? Okay, moving on. Now we're moving on to the athletic trainer bill. That's H2247 S1438. After that, we are going to hit, these are the folks on deck now, H2266 and S1381, an act relative to the Board of Registration in Naturopathy. So back to an act relative to athletic training. Here is a panel. I have three individuals on the panel: Robert Calandrio, Brett Winston, and Mark Larson. Is the panel ready?
We certainly are. There's only going to be two of us today. It'll be myself and Bob Calandrio.
Wonderful, wonderful. So 3 minutes each then. Simple.
All righty. Thank you so much. Chair Comerford, Chair Decker, and members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity to voice my support for Senate Bill 1438 and House Bill 2247, an act relative to athletic training. My name is Brett Winston. I'm a resident of the city of Springfield, and I currently serve as a professor and clinical education coordinator for the Springfield College Athletic Training Program, where I also remain clinically active as a licensed athletic trainer within the college's athletics programs. Aside from my daily role at the college, I also serve as the president of the Athletic Trainers of Massachusetts. The bill before you seeks to update the language in regard to the Practice Act, or the practice of athletic training. The current Practice Act was enacted in 1983, and this exact same language still remains today, despite decades of attempts to provide updates. Now, I want you to let that sink in. A healthcare profession in the Commonwealth is still being held to language of 1983. I'm sure we can all see the issues here as healthcare has drastically changed over the past 38 years. Now, as an AT educator and practicing clinician, I'm concerned that our restrictive language is one of the primary reasons that ATs are leaving the state. Across the nation, athletic trainers are being utilized in workplace settings such as the FBI, performing arts, the military, and other industrial settings, just to name a few. However, ATs are not able to seek these opportunities in the state of Massachusetts. This is a direct result of the workplace restrictions imposed by our antiquated Practice Act. Additionally, this restriction makes ATs the only allied health profession with such restrictions on our practice. Athletic trainers are highly educated healthcare providers who must obtain and maintain a national board certification through hours of continuing education courses throughout each year. The expertise in injury prevention, acute care and management of musculoskeletal conditions makes ATs highly qualified to provide healthcare beyond the traditional sports sector. Preventative strategies and policies can lead to a decrease in work-related injuries, thus lowering the cost of healthcare in the state. Our understanding of ergonomics, biomechanics, patient education, and other preventative methods will certainly decrease the number of fatal injuries while also limiting the overall injury rate in both sport and occupational settings. Now, the current bill is not seeking to expand the scope of practice for athletic training, but rather to provide language that is representative of athletic training in 2021. The removal of workplace restrictions will open jobs, increase access to care for the healthcare consumer, and lower the cost of occupational and sport-related injuries through prevention-based programming and immediate on-site care of acute and chronic injuries. The antiquated terms preconditioning, conditioning, and reconditioning lead many to confuse our profession with fitness professionals, such as strength and conditioning coaches. However, terms like preventative, emergent, and rehabilitative care provide the clarity as to our role as allied health professions in the Commonwealth. Now, while athletic trainers do work under the direction of a physician, we've chosen the term in consultation with physicians as it better reflects the day-to-day working relationship of our two fields. In closing, I'd like to acknowledge that we have collaborated with our allied health partners on this proposed language, and I would respectfully request a favorable vote on this bill to provide clarity for the legal practice of athletic training and to allow the healthcare consumer a choice to be cared for by an AT. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just a clarifying question, does your written testimony contain the list of folks that collaborated with you?
It does, and I will be submitting that today.
Perfect. If you could just highlight that, that's an important addition. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, next person.
Okay, good morning, Chair Comerford, Chair Decker, members of the committee. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of Senate Bill 1438 and House Bill 2247, an act relative to athletic training. I'm Robert Calandrio, an associate professor and the program director for the athletic training program at Bridgewater State University. I'm the current past president of the Athletic Trainers of Massachusetts. I've been licensed in the Commonwealth as an athletic trainer since 1995 and a physical therapist since 2002. Senate Bill 1438 is a cost-neutral bill. This bill will expand access to athletic training services, but will not expand the scope of practice of an athletic trainer. The same skill set we use today will be the same skill set we perform after its passage. It will allow us to serve a wider population of patient. We'll now be able to treat an injury to a member of a golf team and the same injury which may occur to a person who golfs. We're currently educating our new professionals with a skill set they're unable to fully utilize within the Commonwealth. As a result, our graduates and young professionals leave the state for better pay and better professional opportunities. In today's job market, we cannot afford to lose these individuals. Athletic trainers specialize in injury prevention. As a result, this bill will save money. Public safety settings, as evidenced by the Fairfax County, Virginia Sheriff's Office and the San Antonio, Texas Fire Department, which both utilize athletic trainers, have clearly shown and been able to save hundreds of thousands of dollars in healthcare and overtime costs. Just a quick history of our bill. December 31st, 1982, on New Year's Eve, the Senate's final vote of the session resulted in the establishment of the Board of Allied Health Professions and licensure for athletic trainers, occupational therapists, and physical therapists. Governor King signed that bill on January 5th, 1983. We did face some opposition for licensure during that time frame, and the only way to achieve licensure was to agree to restrictive language regarding workplace and patient population. It was not ideal for us, but we did become the 5th state in the country to statutorily protect the profession of athletic training in the title of athletic trainer. And we compromised knowing that we could come back before the legislature for updates as our profession evolved. We've made on and off attempts over the past 38 years, and today marks my 5th consecutive session before this committee. Our bill's first 2 filings saw it favorably reported through to the Senate Rules Committee, and in both of those filings, we basically ran out of time during the formal sessions. And in the 3rd session, our bill was held in hopes that the COCOT Healthcare Reform Bill would address Practice Act and scope of practice matters, and that bill ultimately died in conference committee. In 1982, rotary dial telephones were still a majority, and the Commodore 64 computer came to market. Today's virtual hearing would not be taking place if that technology had not evolved. Healthcare has changed in this past time frame, and it's time for our Practice Act to reflect today's current practice. On behalf of the approximately 1,500 licensed athletic trainers in Massachusetts, I respectfully request your support for another favorable report, and I thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. It's hard to believe it was just 1982 for the rotary phone. I remember these very well myself, and thank you for recognizing Chair Kokot's unbelievable healthcare leadership. He was my representative, and he is dearly missed. Questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll welcome your testimony, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
The next bill, again, is an act relative to the Board of Registration and Naturopathy. But before we hear from these good folks, I want to say that the bill after that, so the 2 bills on deck now, and we're doing this so that you can do a little time management for yourselves. The bill after the naturopathy bill is H2269 and S1511. That's an act to ensure safe medication administration. And then H2270 and S1510, an act relative to the definition of podiatry. Okay, so we're going back up to an act relative to the Board of Registration and Naturopathy, and I should just say up front that I'm very proud to have filed this legislation with Representative Mindy Daum, and we have two speakers, Dr. Amy Nesh and Dr. Amy Rothenberg. You're warmly welcome to testify as individuals.
Hi, thank you. I think that was an error in sending my testimony in twice. It's only going to me, Amy Rothenberg. Thank you for having me.
It's totally good. It's nice to see you, Amy.
Yeah.
And thank you for your work and leadership.
Oh, you bet. Thank you, Chairwoman Decker and Comerford and members of the committee. I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor, and I'm testifying today on behalf of the Massachusetts Society of Naturopathic Doctors, of which I am the immediate past president, in favor of House Bill 2266 and Senate Bill 1381, an act relative to the Board of Registration in Naturopathy. Thank you, Senator Comerford, for introducing this legislation, which did pass favorably from this committee last session. Strictly speaking, this bill proposes two technical corrections to Chapter 400 of the Act of 2017, which created the Board of Registration in Naturopathy and licensure for naturopathic doctors in the state. First, this legislation clarifies the eligibility for licensure in the state. Since 1987, the North American Board of Naturopathic Examiners has administered the NCLEX exam for naturopathic doctors who graduated from a 4-year in-residence, full-time accredited naturopathic medical school. Prior to 1987, states that licensed naturopathic doctors administered their own state-based exams. It was the intent of the language in Chapter 400 to require passage of NCLEX or its equivalent for Massachusetts applicants. This bill is needed to make clear the meaning of the term its equivalent, that only will apply to applicants who were licensed through state-based exams before 1987. This change would make clear that naturopathic doctors who took state-based exams before 1987 are eligible for licensure under the new licensure laws in Massachusetts. Since 1987, state board exams have been replaced by the national NCLEX exam. All 23 states, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, where naturopathic doctors are licensed, follow this rule. Secondly, this bill clarifies the non-scheduled, non-controlled substance prescribing rights for naturopathic doctors. The legislation explicitly prohibits naturopathic doctors from prescribing Schedule 1 through 4 drugs and controlled substances. However, because the intent of the licensure law was to allow licensed naturopathic doctors to continue to prescribe simple, non-controlled, non-addictive substances such as IV rehydration, the language of the licensing law needs to be changed to make this more clear. This clarification is also consistent with the vast majority of other jurisdictions that regulate this profession. On behalf of the MSND, I respectfully request that the committee does once again give this a favorable report. Thank you for your consideration and for allowing me the time to testify.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for bringing the issue to light. It is not something that, as I think you know, I understood before you brought it to my attention. So I'm deeply grateful to you. Questions from my colleagues? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you very much. Great.
Okay, next two bills. Remember, this is an act to ensure safe medication administration, H2269 and 1511. I have one person to sign up to testify, and it's Katie Murphy. Katie, are you here?
I am. Good morning, Chairs Comerford and Decker. My name is Katie Murphy, and I'm an ICU nurse at the Brigham and Women's Hospital, where I've been all night, and president of the Massachusetts Nurses Association, representing over 23,000 nurses and healthcare professionals. I'm here today to testify in support of House 2269 and Senate 1511, which would codify existing medication administration practices in statute, and in opposition to House 2332, which would upend current medication administration practice and put both patients and nurses' licenses in jeopardy, and in opposition to House 2323 and 2324, which call for study commissions to examine Massachusetts' entry into the Nurse Licensure Compact, something that is both unnecessary and harmful to both nurses and their patients. House 2332 would change existing law to allow delegation to unlicensed personnel to dispense medications. This is a bad idea. Put simply, this would allow individuals without the proper education, training, and experience to administer medications, putting both the patient and the nurse's license in jeopardy. As a licensed registered nurse, I'm held to specific standards and requirements. I'm licensed by the state of Massachusetts with oversight from the Board of Registration in Nursing. I'm responsible for my patients and for fulfilling all of the obligations my license requires. I'm trained in pharmacology. In other words, I know how a medication works on the body and how the body works on the medication. Administering medication to a patient is an important component of clinical care. As such, it's something that should be undertaken only by a licensed professional. That is for the protection of both the patient and the nurse's license. That's not because the other individual cannot hand someone a pill, but because they are not trained to properly assess whether the medication should be given and evaluate the individual after that medication has been administered. The observation and evaluation is one of the fundamental jobs of a nurse. These bills would help to protect against allowing this practice in Massachusetts. Not only should we not change current practice and override existing regulations to permit delegation of medication administration to unlicensed personnel, but we should pass House 2260 and S 1511 to codify and statute what is already in our regulations. Finally, I would like to note the M&A's opposition to House 2323 and 2324, which call for a commission to look at the introduction of the Nurse Licensure Compact into Massachusetts. We have nearly 2 decades of experience to draw on when it comes to the Nurse Licensure Compact, and none of that points to Compact as something that would benefit the patients or nurses of the Commonwealth. It has not worked to reduce nurse vacancy rates. It has not addressed nursing shortages. It has not helped states respond to emergencies, and has never been something I have heard from our members as something they want. We are submitting written testimony, and I thank you for your time.
Well, I thank you for your time and all-night shift and president of the M&A. And the fact that you've taken time to come here and speak on these important pieces of legislation and share the views of the M&A and the frontline nurses you represent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Questions from the committee? Okay, Katie, thanks again. I hope you get some sleep later. Okay, friends, we're moving on now. This is the H2270 and S1510. After this bill, and we have 4 folks signed up on this bill, we are going to hear 2 pieces of legislation, H2273, an act relative to dry needling, and we're going to hear S1458, an act relative to the practice of acupuncture. So those good folks are on deck, and I see some of them here. Okay, going back up to an act relative to the definition of podiatry, we have a Massachusetts Foot and Ankle Society panel, Dr. Walter Wolf, Dr. Jennifer Buchanan, and Dr. Jake Summers. I believe it's Dr. Summers who could testify before 1 p.m. today. You're warmly welcome.
So, Chair Comerford, Chair Decker, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify in strong support of House Bill 2270, Senate Bill 1510, an act relative to the definition of podiatry. My name is Dr. Walter Wolf. I am the past president of the Massachusetts Foot and Ankle Society, a nonprofit association that represents podiatrists throughout the Commonwealth. I've had the pleasure and responsibility of caring for patients throughout Western Massachusetts for over 35 years, and think of my practice as part of a large extended family. I'm here today to express concern for them and not myself. Our profession has enjoyed great advances in our training and research since our scope of practice law was written in Massachusetts over 60 years ago. As a result of this advanced training, 47 of 50 states in our country have chosen to update their statutes to reflect this, and the modern, well-trained podiatrists are allowed to perform surgery on the ankle as well as amputations involving the foot in all of these other states. Unfortunately, a consequence of our state's antiquated scope of practice law for podiatry has resulted in a national reputation for being one of the worst states to practice for the recent podiatric medical graduate. It is extremely challenging to recruit and attract these sorely needed specialists to our state. Over the past 35 years, the greater Springfield area has experienced a net loss of 10 podiatrists to serve this same community. This current trend has created limited access to care, particularly for those on Mass Health or those in rural communities. It has led to increased stress and burnout due to the inability to reach the demand for proper foot and ankle care. The city of Holyoke had 4 full-time podiatrists when I first arrived, and now they have 0. The entirety of the Berkshires has only 1 retirement-age podiatrist to serve their entire population. So as a result, in our practice, we see many of those patients making those hour-long drives each way to come get appropriate care. Passing this legislation, which has received favorable reports from this committee many times before, is a necessary step to improve access and affordability for all communities across the Commonwealth. Chair Comerford, Chair Decker, and members of the committee, I respectfully ask that you release this legislation with a favorable report. My colleague, Dr. Jennifer Buchanan, will now address the training and experience of today's podiatrists. Thank you for allowing me to testify.
Thank you, Dr. Wolf. Dr. Buchanan.
Thank you, Chair Comerford, Chair Decker, and members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Buchanan, and I am an attending podiatrist at Cambridge Health Alliance and involved in the podiatric residency training program there. And I am also a fellow of the American College of Foot and Ankle Surgeons. I myself completed my residency at this program here in Cambridge and chose to stay in Massachusetts to practice and help train the future of our profession. As we have sat before you countless times discussing this matter, our profession continues to evolve and the educational training continues to excel and advance. Our residents receive high-quality education, including 4 years of podiatric medical education, which is highly integrated with MD and DO degrees at all schools across the country. Our state has 7 accredited residency programs here in the Boston and Metro West areas, and our residents are fully integrated within these hospital teaching institutions and receive training from podiatrists, orthopedic surgeons, and other medical specialties, which is a requirement of their training. The Council on Podiatric Medical Education has national standardized minimum competencies for foot and ankle surgical training, and all residents are required to meet these standards prior to graduation and licensing. There's no such equivalent standard for foot and ankle orthopedic surgeons. Additionally, many of our residents now go on to advanced fellowship training that is highly specialized in limb deformity correction and limb salvage. Many of these techniques that they learn offer incredible life-changing surgical interventions to patients, which unfortunately cannot be legally performed by podiatrists here in our state because of an outdated law that continuously is put on the back table. We live in a state where we hold medical care to the highest level, and our patients deserve the opportunity to have the best quality treatment that is available to them. This law would allow those podiatrists that are indeed qualified and trained to treat the ankle to do so in our state, which will overall improve access to high quality care and increase the quality of standard of care. It's no longer a question of whether our training as podiatrists is satisfactory enough to provide this top level care for our patients in foot and ankle surgery. It has been clearly demonstrated that podiatrists and foot and ankle orthopedic surgeons can provide the same level of high quality care, and it is time to update our law to reflect the current standards across the country and allow those qualified and capable to provide the level of care that our patients deserve here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Buchanan. Dr. Wolf and Dr. Buchanan, do we have Dr. Summers here on the panel with you?
Yes, I'm online.
Okay, very good, Doctor.
Chair Comerford, Chair Decker, and members of the committee. My name is Dr. Jake Summers. I'd like to give you an overall picture of what Massachusetts is missing out on. I have practiced the last 5 years at Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center, and I'm now the head of foot and ankle surgery at Elliott Orthopedic Surgical Specialists in Manchester, New Hampshire. I am board certified by the American Board of Foot and Ankle Surgery, and am a fellow of the American College of Foot and Ankle Surgeons. I'm a graduate of the Podiatric Foot and Ankle Surgical Residency at Mount Auburn Hospital in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where I was also a clinical fellow of surgery at Harvard Medical School. I also completed an advanced surgical fellowship in reconstructive foot and ankle surgery and now operate a highly specialized practice in limb deformity correction, ankle joint replacements, and complex limb salvage. Yet, unlike the majority of states in this country, I'm unable to practice to the full level of my training in the state of Massachusetts. If I were to drive 20 miles south of my current practice, my training and experience becomes null and void due to an outdated and backwards Massachusetts state law, one of the last states in the country to modernize. Massachusetts is a state that supposedly holds education and medical care in the highest regard and supposedly provides the highest quality of healthcare in our nation and touts itself as a leader, yet currently prohibits some of the nation's most well-trained podiatrists and foot and ankle surgeons from practicing to the full extent of their training. Like myself, many of my colleagues have left the state, and the best and brightest are no longer coming to Massachusetts to train, and those that do are leaving for other states. Now is the time for Massachusetts to update the state law, reflect the current standards, and quit playing from behind, and to step out from decades of ignoring this issue and return to its place as a leader in healthcare.
Thank you so much to the panel. I want to especially thank Dr. Wolf, who took the time to meet with me personally last session on this issue and make me smarter about it. Questions from my colleagues? And I just also want to acknowledge that many of the bills before us today have been before the legislature many times. I think, Dr. Buchanan, you said, you referenced the many times you've come to testify on this issue, and I want to appreciate very much the tenacity of all the advocates here today on these scope bills. Okay, questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I'll thank you so much to the panel for your testimony on this. Okay, next we are moving to the dry needling and acupuncture bills. And after these bills, and there are numbers of folks signed up, we're going to move to an act relative to acupuncture detoxification specialists. That's H2284 and S1520. And then after that, we're going to hear testimony on an act relative to liability protection for disaster volunteers. Okay, so we're going now back to here on H2273 and S1458. I have an individual signed up, Daphne Jochnik, please. Daphne, are you here with us? Okay, I don't hear or see Daphne, so we will move on. Next, we have a panel, and this panel is 3 individuals from the Acupuncture Society of Massachusetts. Welcome to Dr. Amy Major, Laura Hamill, and Naomi Alson, please. You're warmly welcome to testify.
Thank you so much, Chair Comerford. Thank you, Chair Decker, and your colleagues in the Senate and representatives in the House. So I am going to give you the 411, and I have submitted everything written that has all of the citations, all of the documentation, because everybody's waiting, and this is a long day. My name is Amy Major. I hold a doctorate in acupuncture, Chinese medicine, and integrative medicine. I earned my bachelor's in sociology from Brandeis in 1985, my Master of Science in Chinese medicine in 1989 from the American College of Traditional Chinese Medicine, my doctorate in 2017, a first professional doctorate from the Pacific College of Health Sciences. I hold Massachusetts acupuncture license number 349, and we are here to ask for your support to see more patients for less money and more paperwork, because healthcare is a right, not a privilege. CMS Medicare just covered acupuncture in January 2020. I have the privilege, as being legislative co-chair in the Commonwealth, dry needling chair in the Commonwealth, and vice chair of public policy for the American Society of Acupuncturists, our national professional trade association. And I've been working with Representative Judy Chu and her staff, Ellen Hamilton, and the NCCAOM to get licensed acupuncturists to become providers under Medicare. So Medicare covered acupuncture, we are working to become providers, and we're asking for your support for the holdout plans like GIC. All state employees not only do not have acupuncture covered under their plans, it is actively excluded, which is a problem for the lawyers I see, the professors I treat, and it would be much better for them to, like my Medicaid patients, have coverage for the treatment of pain, PTSD, nausea, and opiate addiction. I'm also here to testify in support of the ADS bills, increased access to acupuncture to treat opiate addiction. And why do we want commercial coverage? To decrease pain without the use of opioids, evidence-based non-opioid treatments for pain. On that vein, H2273 is about dry needling. Why? We heard MDs testify before about the knowledge, skills, and abilities necessary to expand scope of practice. We want to make sure that anyone inserting a needle has been vetted by didactic education, clinical supervision, and has been psychometrically examined to both demonstrate competency and the ability not to harm. The Board of Allied Health opened its Practice Act 2 years ago. I know because I attended many of their meetings.
This is in my house.
We encouraged them to create a scope for dry needling so it would be clear to patients. It's not. It's confusing. The board allows people to practice dry needling with no vetting. There are advertisements for athletic trainers doing dry needling. They have no master's degree, no doctorate, no vetting, no standards for what dry needling is, which is why we need H2273. For anyone practicing orthopedic acupuncture or dry needling, the CMS CPT code group has one code for one procedure. The argument that they are not the same is out the window since 2018, when I had the privilege of attending that meeting and testifying before the CMS CPT code group that trigger point acupuncture and dry needling are the same. They've been given the same code. Therefore, we need to create a set of standards, because just like an MD testified before, people don't know what they don't know. You don't know your professional is not trained or licensed or vetted unless we demonstrate that they are. I'm going to give the floor to Naomi Olson, and I thank you so much for your help and time, and I'm available for any questions.
Ms. Olson.
Naomi, you're muted.
Now am I unmuted? Yes. Hi, I'm Naomi Olson, and this is probably the 5th time that I've testified about this particular bill. I'm especially cognizant of Bill 1458, which has to do with an insurance mandate covering acupuncture treatments for pain, nausea, PTSD, and opioid withdrawal treatment. And it would also set up a committee to supervise inclusion of acupuncture in the public health sector of Massachusetts. Over the last 10 years, we have really seen that acupuncture has become part of the public health system, and some insurance companies are covering acupuncture, especially in light of the opioid epidemic and our real success in treating pain, which has been recognized by NIH because of extensive studies since 1994. Right now, the VA covers treatments for acupuncture. The Mass Health will be covering treatments for pain with acupuncture in the near future. Blue Cross Blue Shield is starting to cover. We have brought research studies to you for many years. Many of you have seen them. Your research staff has seen them. Because of its robust research positive effect on pain syndromes, cancer treatment side effects, and pain syndromes, it's used in many, many hospitals in our state. And these treatments allow people to continue work and be working, productive citizens. Oh, there goes my timer. That they will not end. So they will not end. So they will not end up in emergency rooms, costing extra money, and that acupuncturists will have employment opportunities. Thank you for your time, Laura.
Thank you. And I don't believe there's a third person on your panel. Is that correct?
I'm here.
Laura, you are here, Laura?
I am here. How much time do we have remaining?
We're at time for the panel. I thought that because we had gone to 6 minutes, beyond 6 minutes, this is the tricky thing here. I think we should hear you at 3 minutes. I'll just really respectfully remind everyone testifying that panels have 6 minutes each. And so the panel has to figure out the time share in there. And I know that can be difficult. And I also want to just acknowledge that Dr. Rocket, I skipped Dr. Sean Rocket relative to podiatry. So after this wonderful group of folks, I'm going back to Dr. Rocket with my sincere apologies. Please, Laura.
Thank you, Senator Comerford. Thank you, co-chairs, senators, and representatives for the privilege of addressing you today. I'm going to share a personal statement that I wrote related to these acupuncture bills. My name is Laura Hamill. I'm the student representative for the ASM, and I'm also a second-year acupuncture student at the New England School of Acupuncture. I'll graduate in May of 2024 with a doctorate of acupuncture and herbal medicine. I came to acupuncture as a second career after acupuncture treatments helped me to manage migraines and chronic pain. Both acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine have helped me to reach a place where I don't need to regularly take ibuprofen or other NSAIDs. Another course of events that led me to search for more holistic healthcare resources was standing by a loved one going through the process of recovering from an opioid addiction. From personal experience, I know that we as a nation need mainstream options for pain relief that are not prescription-based, that empower individuals to take control of their mental and physical health, that are affordable, and that do not just replace one opioid with another. I also believe that there needs to be oversight as our field integrates into the current healthcare model in order to maximize access and patient experience. Practitioners providing needling treatments should be required to meet a standardized level of training and examination in the specific medium. For a frame of reference, upon completion of my degree, I will have over 3,000 class hours and 900 hours of clinical experience. What I've seen over 10 years of receiving acupuncture treatments on and off, and more recently, through clinical observation in my program, is that acupuncture has an important place in our medical system. It's well suited to working alongside Western biomedicine and filling gaps in care. I hope you will support these bills and act relative to dry needling and act relative to the practice of acupuncture and the acts relative to acupuncture detoxification specialists. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hamill. Thank you to the panel and for your tenacious work over many years to get your practice. Yes, Amy, I see you incorporated the way it should be and recognized the way it should be. Questions from my colleagues on the committee? Okay, seeing none, thank you again for coming to testify and make us smarter. Dr. Rocket, I'm very sorry I skipped you, so we're going to go back to you now.
Oh, not a problem. I'm happy to testify here today.
My error. You're warmly welcome.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to give real life examples of podiatrists and what I've seen. I'm a graduate of Tufts and Harvard University. I've been practicing orthopedic surgery for 23 years. I'm the president of Orthopedics New England in the Metro West area. And we have 3 podiatrists in our group, and I can't speak more highly of the level of care they've provided, the professionalism, their follow-up care. I've seen their x-rays, pre-op, post-op. I've scrubbed with them personally in the operating room and seen how they've taken care of people, and as well as taking care of my family and all my friends. So I'm very happy with the care they provide, and I would support the bill. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for offering your really important perspective here, and for your forbearance. Questions for Dr. Rocket? Okay, seeing none, sir. Thank you. Hey, friends, we're going back to acupuncture, and we have a panel, 3 folks, 6 minutes. Carl Schwartz, Regina Mason, Kristen Morris. Is the panel with us? Just testing for the panel. Okay. So I don't see the panel or hear the panel. So we are going to.
You don't hear me?
Okay.
Regina Mason.
Regina, welcome.
Yep. Hi.
Welcome. So there, do you have Carl and Kristen with you?
I do not have anybody with me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the system.
Okay, no worries. No, it's the strange virtual world. Okay, so you are warmly welcome as an individual then. I see you as part of the panel, but that's fine. So we're an individual 3 minutes. Thank you for sharing.
All right, thank you so much. So I am Regina Mason, and I'm speaking in support of Bill 1458. And I'm sharing a personal story that illuminates a significant reason why acupuncture needs to be covered by health insurance. In 2015, I was diagnosed with life-threatening stage 3 breast cancer. I required extensive treatment, and during chemotherapy, I had adverse reactions to all the usual palliative medications for nausea and vomiting, so severe that I ended up hospitalized. When I was released, I continued chemotherapy with no access to anti-nausea medications, and the nausea and related symptoms were untenable. I deteriorated quickly. My cancer physician sent me to an acupuncture program sponsored by the Cancer Center. It worked. So acupuncture was the one resource that I had at my disposal to alleviate the devastating nausea, vomiting, head pain, and exhaustion. And this program was not covered by insurance at that time, but was sponsored by community donations. So fast forward 5.5 years to this past March, my cancer treatment medication generated health issues that necessitated a medication change. Sorry. Once again, I had a severe adverse medication reaction. The reaction left me with neurological damage, and I developed life-changing tremors and stabbing neuropathic pain that have not yet resolved. Once again, due to my medication reactivities, I found myself with a lack of access to palliative care. I could not drive, type at a computer, or sleep at night. So I reached out for acupuncture and discovered that the Cancer Center could not fit me into their free program at that time. Then I learned my medical insurance would cover 10 sessions. The acupuncture has been quality of life improving, providing physical stability that has allowed me to return to work and care for my family. I could not possibly afford to pay for that acupuncture on my own. And my dependence on acupuncture as a source of medical care is only possible because my health insurance at this time has allowed for it. And yet I face the concern, what happens when I've used up my 10 allowed visits? So I encourage you all to make this medication source of palliative, this non-medication source of palliative care available for people like me who can't use traditional medications. And it really needs to be covered by insurance. So I thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We've said it before, both Chair Decker and I, on these hearings, that personal stories are among the best ways to illustrate the need for a bill, or the concern about the bill, in this case, the need for the bill. So thank you so much, Regina, for sharing a personal story and connecting that to legislation.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm going to ask now if Carl or Kristen, Carl Schwartz, Kristen Morris, are you here? Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, friends, we're about a third of the way through the hearing. So we have about 4 more hours of testimony expected. I'm going to tell you now the bills we're going to hear in this next tranche of testimony. It's H2284 and S1520, an act relative to acupuncture detoxification specialists. Then we're going to hear H2293 and S1521, an act relative to liability protection for disaster volunteers. Then we're going to hear H2296, an act relative to medical physics. And finally, in this short hot list is H2322 and S1522, an act regulating central service technicians. Okay, starting now with an act relative to acupuncture, detoxification specialists. I have 4 individuals signed up. I'm going to read you in the order I have you signed up, and then we'll hear from you with 3 minutes each. Peggy Rose, I have someone, Haley, I don't have a last name, Susan Murphy, and then Oren Pillinger. Peggy, are you here?
I am here.
You're warmly welcome.
Hi, Chair Comerford, Chair Decker, and the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm speaking in favor of S1520 and H2284, an act relative to acupuncture detoxification specialists. My name is Peggy Rose, and I've been a registered nurse in Massachusetts since 1994. I've worked in various community health and primary care settings where people experiencing substance use disorders have received their health care. I speak on behalf of patients and families, and also on behalf of staff in treatment facilities. We need to support families with every tool we possibly can. We need to make existing treatments more effective. We need to save more lives. Substance use disorder consumes a huge number of healthcare dollars, and in general, treatment methods have success rates that are less than 40%. The proposed legislation would improve the efficacy of existing behavioral and substance use treatment. The 5-needle protocol has been shown to improve inpatient and outpatient completion rates. It can reduce drug cravings and early withdrawal symptoms. People report it facilitates calm, self-regulation, relaxation, focus, and self-reflection. The treatment can decrease symptoms of stress, anxiety, depression, anger, aggression, agitation, irritability, and insomnia. It is a simple, effective, and safe treatment. It has no contraindications. It has no negative side effects. The beauty of the legislation as proposed is that it is leveraging the resource of existing staff in substance use disorder